This is FightFans Radio.
All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, we are live here on the FanAddicts MMA show. We are live on FightFansRadio.com. We are live on Spreaker.com. You will be able to download episodes of our show on Stitcher and iTunes. We'll also be available on the YouTubes. I am your host.
We're all over the internet.
We're all over the internets. We fuck the internets in the face. That's what we do. And I am your host.
Right in
Erica
the
Lewis.
face.
Right in the face. My girlfriend appreciate that. It's her favorite thing to say.
Fuck the internet in the face?
Everything.
Or
You
just
fuck everything in the face.
Everything gets fucked in the face?
Everything gets fucked in the face. If I'm having a bad day at work, she's like, baby, just
You
fuck
need to
it
get fucked in the face?
You need to, well,
Is that what she says?
that's a different conversation that we like to have.
Hey,
Hey, David, how is it going?
That's great. I mean, since we've last been on, I've had a child. The child's had a child.
I know. We got like grandchickens and wifeys and the whole nine. It's been a while. There was a lot of reasons for that. Mostly I was working really hectically for Fight Metric, got a new job, so time was crunched for us both, and I know David was going through a lot of changes in his life, and now we're back and badder than ever, hopefully. Maybe. Sure, why not?
Of course.
Of course. So much has gone on in MMA since we last talked. It's been a veritable smorgasbord of stuff.
Been a lot of stuff.
It's been a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff's happened.
So there's no way that we can cover everything that has happened since the last time we've been on air. So we're going to fast forward and let's talk about UFC 158, since that was the last big event we had, or the UFC had. It was headlined, of course, by the one, the only George St. Pierre, and he was.
Thank God, there's only one of them.
Oh yes. I don't know, although. More than one might help with my insomnia. I'm kidding, people.
Just replay his old fights. Another one of them.
He defended his title against Nick Diaz, who I thought did an amazing job promoting this fight. Just really, I mean,
Except when he said that it was all hype.
Yeah, that's a little disappointing, isn't it? Don't you hate that?
I hate it when they say it after the fight, let alone before. I don't like it when BJ Penn says it like immediately, like as soon as the fight's over, which Sean Shirk, after he was calling Sean Shirk a steroid user, like, oh, that was all hype. Then Nick Diaz is like, we're just selling wolf tickets.
I had to look up wolf tickets. I wasn't sure if I had to like contact you about wolf tickets. I didn't know what was up with that. I think everybody had to look that up except for like 50-year-old black dudes who all were like, yeah, wolf tickets. I know what that means.
And not to digress too much, but I mean, what's up with John Jones and Chael Sonnen?
Being nice. Okay, first off, have you been watching The Ultimate Fighter? We are completely.
I was early on, and now I generally fast forward through it.
It hasn't been a bad season. Actually, as a matter of fact, I would say it's the best season they've had for a very long time. Mostly because there really isn't a whole lot of drama on the show, which reality TV fans are probably not appreciating. Fight fans probably appreciate that, but reality TV fans, that's what they watch those shows for. They watch it for the drama. There hasn't really been a whole lot of drama except for Uriah Hall acting like he's got a vagina um, during the show, but that's been far and few between. But good fights, really good fights. What do you think of the guys who are competing on this season of The Ultimate Fighter?
I haven't really paid that much attention. I generally fast forward through their fights as well.
Oh
But
wow!
Uriah Hall looked pretty good.
I think there are a couple of guys that look pretty good. Even though he lost Thor, I thought he looked really good in um, his fight to get into the house. It wouldn't surprise me.
Hey, how about the dude that quit this past week?
Oh, I felt bad for him. I really did. And you could tell he wasn't like as
And I
soon as
don't
that
mean
round
quit like he
ended.
tapped out. I mean like he just
Yeah.
didn't come out for the third round.
Um,
And they promoted it like, see something you've never seen before. Like, just watch a guy.
have we ever seen a guy quit on the stool before in Tough?
Yeah, I think we did. Didn't that French guy do it?
That was the fights to get into the. Well, I guess it still counts. I guess it doesn't really matter
Didn't he?
what round
Didn't he
it
talk
happened
about
in.
how he wanted to show the world how France is not full of pussies?
Yeah.
Then he quit.
Then he quit.
that was a memorable Tough moment.
Oh, irony! I love it. So, we have. I think there's some fairly decent guys. None of these guys are going to compete for this. Uriah Hall,
Yeah,
definitely
exactly.
the best on the season, but not everybody needs to be competing for the title.
Well, they need to be competitive at a UFC level, and
I think
really
some of them,
tough. They haven't been doing it.
are competitive at a low level, at least to deliver exciting fights. Which,
They're going to be in the World Series of Fighting in 6 months. Who are we kidding?
oh, you're looking forward to World Series of Fighting. You want
Actually,
see,
that main event should be something to see.
I agree with something to see.
It'll be something.
It definitely something, something to see. But World Series of Fighting, they're trying. It feels very much like deja vu. It feels very much like Affliction, 2.0 to me. Overpaying their fighters, trying to put on the best shows they possibly can with guys who are, they've seen their best already. Do you really think Anthony Johnson is a somebody?
Well, he's somebody. He's definitely infamous.
He's
somebody.
somebody's son. That's
He's,
for
he's
sure.
infamous for never making weight. I have a feeling he'll be able to make weight here since it's a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
So we don't have that problem.
If he didn't make
Arlovski's
weight,
got a glass jaw. I mean, the fight's kind of interesting, actually. It's a little intriguing in a train wreck, car crash kind of way.
yes, I'll agree with you. It's
And someone should get knocked out, so you should have a KO.
Now that you've said that, it's gonna go all around. I don't know if it's a 5 round.
Is it scheduled for 5? Are they doing that now? God
Uh,
forbid that's scheduled for 5. Holy shit, that could be a travesty.
Oh wow, it's just I don't know if I'm really that stoked for. Okay, back to 158. So, wow, we got on a tangent there. So GSP fought Nick Diaz. Thought Nick Diaz did a great job promoting the fight. As you mentioned on your Facebooks, and a lot of sources have already put out these numbers. The show is reportedly 800K plus pay-per-view buys, which is the most George St. Pierre has gotten on a pay-per-view by himself. He's definitely gotten 700, maybe even 750. I don't even know if that might be making that shit up. But Dave Meltzer at least gave the impression that this was the most GSP has gotten by himself without a big name on the card, another big name on the card with him.
Think about it. In this time period where these cards are doing 200,000 and like a good number is 400,000, it's really an incredible number.
It really is. It really
for
is.
now, like 2 years ago it would have been an okay number, but now that's really they did a great job promoting this fight. People cared about Nick Diaz. People still care about George St. Pierre, and it also speaks to again, just because exciting fights, I don't want to say are meaningless, but George St. Pierre remains their biggest draw, and this guy does not have exciting fights unless he's forced to.
I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. He is one of the hugest stars in Canada. I went up there for the show. I was there for the Montreal show, and I asked if he really was that big of a star in Canada, and everywhere I went, there were pictures of him, and not just.
Yeah, I understand this like he's a real mainstream
Yeah,
star.
like you go in the grocery store and there's pictures of him
MMA
with
is more
products.
mainstream in Canada than it is here.
Yeah.
Canada is just smaller.
But it was an interesting card. The prelims were actually fairly decent. We had a good showing from the guys in the prelims. Although
Jordan Mean, holy fuck.
yes, Jordan Mean. I'm looking forward to seeing him fight again,
Yeah,
which
me
is
too.
going to
Against
be fairly soon.
what's his name? The
Uh,
tough Matt Brown.
yes, he's going to be fighting against Matt Brown because
I think he's going to destroy Matt Brown. I
who
mean, Matt
got
Brown is tough. Of course, that's the cliche about
yeah.
him. But I think Jordan Mean's going to blow through him.
I feel like in MMA we use the word tough in place of saying he's not that good.
Well, tough. He could take an ass kicking. Take it well.
Yes, he's really good at taking an ass kicking. He
That's
really
what
is.
tough generally means,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it does.
You get beat up well. You don't hold like a cheap camera. Like Brock Lesnar when he got punched, he seemed like he wanted to run out of the cage.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that. There were some good showings on the card. Uh,
That pay per view, I'm like except for Carlos Condit
and
and Johnny Hendricks
yeah,
and Ellenberger's KO.
it
Holy
was
fuck,
not a
that pay
good
per view
card. No,
was
the pay per
was
view was not good.
dreadful.
The prelims weren't bad. We had T.J. Dillashaw, who did what he was supposed to do. We expected him to come in and destroy Issei Tamura, and he did with a really nice KO. Rick Story destroyed Quinn Mulhern, so he's back on the in the win column. I thought I was disappointed in the McDessie Cruikshank fight. I thought it was going to be more exciting than what it was, but uh, it was what it was. Jordan Mean came in and did what he had to do against Dan Miller. Um, Darren Elkins came in.
And Jordan Mean finished Dan Miller.
Yes.
That's really impressive.
How far do you think Jordan Mean's actually going to get with his skill set?
He might still be improving. Who knows?
Right.
He could be a serious contender.
A serious
He
contender.
was very impressive.
Yeah.
That was
Against
fucking
a veteran
impressive.
like Dan Miller.
It's like holy shit. He was a really like this was the first time in a while where I said, "Oh, I want to follow this guy, see what he does."
Darren Elkins, like I said, came in and he TKO'd Antonio Carvalho, and what a lot of people are calling a controversial stop. I think it's still a controversial stop. I didn't agree with the stoppage from the referee, but
Was that the one where he got up? And
yes, he got
off?
back up, dude.
I think Eve had money on the fight.
It seemed like he just like dropped it like it was hot for a second, and then like came back up.
Oh,
Like,
he
it was like a
definitely
Beyonce move
rocked.
in the
I mean,
middle. No, he definitely was. I
but
mean,
he
but
got back up immediately.
yes, and when we think back to fights like Jesus, what fight was it where the
It was a
guy?
terrible stoppage. That was like maybe the worst early stoppage I've seen.
What was the one where the guy was completely knocked out on his feet? It was very recent. Why can't I not remember the guy's name? He was just completely knocked out on his feet. It still went all 3 rounds. I'm trying to remember who it was. I can't even remember who it was. Fuck it. If anybody can tell me who it is, go ahead and tweet us at FanAddicts MMA. Help a sister out, because I smoke a little bit too much weed to remember what's going on here. But we've seen some really questionable stoppages from refs. This is definitely up there, at least as of recent. Oh, David's got the good stuff. I have to laugh at you, dude. I have to laugh at you.
Okay.
The Patrick Cote and Bobby Volker fight. It is very rare that I see a blatant robbery. Blatant. Bobby Volker should have won that fight by far.
I thought Cote won.
Oh, you're crazy. You are crazy. You thought Cote won?
I thought he won 2 rounds. Yeah.
Oh, no.
It was close. Yeah.
I didn't think it was close at all. I thought Volker beat his ass in rounds 2 and 3. I give Cote the first round. I agree with the 29-28, but it should have been 29-28 for Volker. I think
the second round was close though.
really?
Maybe I don't have a vivid memory of the fight. Maybe I had smoked too much weed. I don't know.
We need to change the name of the show to like Up and Smoke MMA or something because
I'd be up for that.
I'm all about it. Let's do it. Uh, I don't know. I thought that was a pretty blatant robbery. I did not think that Cote had won that fight at all. He got repeatedly taken down.
Most people agree with you, though.
Yeah.
That's clear. So
Um,
the
then we
third
got.
round was definitely Volker's.
Oh my God, by far. And I thought the second round was too. I thought he got quite a few takedowns in that second round and he was
You
landing
know, but
good
I'm going to
stuff
go on
from
a
the
rant
top.
about takedowns and awarding takedowns when there's no follow up.
I thought Volker had follow up though. In my at least as far as I can remember, he had really good strikes from the ground, and I'm just.
I could be misremembering. All I know is I gave Cote 2 rounds, and I didn't think it was a robbery because I thought Cote won, but I remember everyone else seemed to think Cote should have lost. It was a hometown decision. So clearly I'm in the minority there. But I also thought Carlos Condit won.
And let's talk about that in a second. Maybe the second round was a lot closer than I thought it was. Apparently, he got no takedowns in that second round. Man, I gotta stop smoking pot. He got 3 in the third round. He outstruck Cote by a thin margin. I guess it was a lot closer to remember. In the moment,
I just thought it was close.
to.
That's all I can recall. I don't even remember the fight that. I'm not paying that close attention to a Patrick Cote fight at this point.
Yeah, it is Patrick Cote. He's not, he's not back. He's not going to make a run for the title. Let's stop kidding ourselves. Unless the UFC gets really desperate for a welterweight to face George St. Pierre.
He's going to be in World Series of Fighting in 6 months. All these fucking guys.
World Series of Fighting, where MMA fighters go to die.
It's purgatory. MMA purgatory.
It's MMA purgatory. Terrible. So the main card, as we mentioned, was terrible. It was just not good.
God. It was dreadful.
UFC, I swear to God, I hope Dana White slipped. I wouldn't even say the Ellenberger fight was only exciting because of the KO.
Because it was a knockout.
Yeah, there was nothing
and then
really about the
like,
fight.
How are you stopping this? How could you stop? Dude, you were face down on the mat.
Yeah, Mike Ricci, they were talking about him like he was the second coming of Christ. There was nothing that he showed us in that fight that was remotely impressive. Colin Fletcher should, if Mike Ricci is supposed to be all that in a bag of chips, there's no way that Colin Fletcher should have been in that fight for all 3 rounds the way that he was. And he was. He was in that fight to the very end. At no point did I think Mike Ricci had just completely stolen the fight. He won the fight for sure, but they were acting like he was dominating Colin from bell to bell, and he was not. Chris Camozzi and Nick Ring put on a snooze fest. I actually thought Nick Ring had won the fight at first. I was glad Chris Camozzi came away with the win. But I don't know. It was a terrible fight. Ellenberger came in there with Marquardt. It was not a great fight until Ellenberger knocked out Marquardt. And then we had the best fight on the card by far was Hendricks and Condit.
It's like close to fight at your level.
Yes, absolutely. And let's talk about this fight because you mentioned earlier about a rant about takedowns. And
not necessarily a rant, but I just think that takedowns when there's no follow-up, especially when the guy on the bottom is working.
Yes.
And I think Carlos was.
Yeah.
I thought Carlos won 2 of those rounds. I don't think it was a robbery. I understand Hendricks getting it, but I do believe Hendricks may have had 6 takedowns in one of those rounds, or 5 or 6 takedowns. Even so, all things being equal, I would then award him the round, but I don't think it was equal. I think Carlos was getting the better in the stand-up, and I think once it went to the ground, Carlos was the one actively working from the bottom.
I agree 100%. Hendricks had 12 takedowns in this fight, and that to me says 2 things. 1, Hendricks has really good takedowns. 2, Hendricks has terrible top control. If you
Because Condit kept getting back up.
because he kept getting back up. I mean, if
I
you're
mean,
that
it
good
also
at
speaks
your
to Condit's ability to.
absolutely, absolutely. I think it says a lot about Condit as a fighter. But 12 takedowns, and you couldn't hold him down. Like, I feel like a takedown, in order to give it the weight that judges do, if you take a dude down,
You got to hurt him with the
you got to
takedown
hurt
itself. It's
him.
got to be like one of those Rampage Jackson slams.
And
You hurt someone, then I'll award you something for that. But if you take someone down and he gets right back up, you shouldn't get any points. If you take someone down and he's going for arm bars and he's looking for Kimuras, I give the guy from the bottom working. I'll award it to him, even though the guy on the top is the one who put the fight there.
yeah, but you got to do something with it once you get it there. Like, it
Exactly.
can't
I
be
mean,
just enough that
cage control is not going to get you around when you're losing other aspects.
exactly. But again, neither one of us think that it was a robbery.
No, not a robbery.
Not at all.
I would call it a bad decision because I disagree with it, but definitely not a robbery. I just think Hendricks was getting way too much weight for the takedowns.
I agree. And not enough for Carlos Condit for what he was doing from.
Yeah. There's never enough for the guys on the bottom. That's one thing that's consistent, is that if a guy's on top, the judges, by and large, seem to think that you're winning the fight. Still.
Yeah.
And I guess it's because you're still having judges that are brought over from boxing and don't really understand MMA.
So let's talk about the main event real quick before we talk about Hendricks versus George St. Pierre, which will not happen for at least 6 months, because apparently George St. Pierre came in with
hurt again,
Achilles tendon injury,
and he had the flu as well. There are an assortment of excuses now for why he got tired in the 4th and 5th rounds. Maybe they're true. I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know what to think about the performance. I feel like it was a not the performance I expected from George St. Pierre, and definitely not the performance I expected from Nick Diaz.
It was the performance I expected from George.
Was it? I expected a lot more from him. I expected a lot more ground and pound. His ground and pound was terrible in that fight.
Well, Nick's face was pretty messed up, but I mean, George, I don't know. George plays percentages, doesn't really seem to try to finish fights. Did exactly what I expect. I mean, the things that surprised me were George getting tired and failing at several takedown attempts late.
Yeah.
I don't.
And not even really late. Like in the third round. By the third round, he was.
So now they're saying he has the flu. So okay, maybe that's true. But you said something to me. You said George has looked really human in the last 2 fights, and it's exactly how I viewed it. He won the last 2 fights. He was completely, I don't want to say dominated, but he controlled Nick Diaz throughout 5 rounds, except for like the last minute in the 3rd round. Carlos Condit, he was pretty much winning the entire fight, except when Condit landed the head kick. But he has not looked like the invincible George, like the George that Matt Serra beat just through a fluke, but no one else could come near that won every round,
right?
Every minute of every round. It's different. And they have the excuse that he had the flu, but I'm wondering if that injury has taken a toll. And as we discussed before George came back, would he ever be the same? And I don't think he is the same, and hasn't proven to be the same at this point. Carlos Condit's a great fighter. Nick Diaz is a great fighter, but I don't know if we'd necessarily label them elite level fighters. So George has beat him over 5 rounds, but then again, look what Ben Henderson did to Nate Diaz. And what Ben Henderson did was actually more impressive. You want to say Nick's better than Nate, maybe. But at this point, I'm not viewing George St. Pierre as one of the top pound-for-pound fighters. I think Ben Henderson might be better. I think John Jones is definitely better.
Definitely.
Anderson is on a whole other level when you talk about best ever. No. And you know what? The 170-pound division, the contenders are not necessarily elite. Johnny Hendricks, like you've said, he doesn't have the technique. He has the capability of beating George, but more than likely George will win that fight. More than likely George will beat Damian Maia. Damian won't be able to take him down. and George will keep it standing and will beat Damian standing. But if you had a truly elite 170-pounder, you could easily see him beating George right now. Carlos Condit could have won that fight. Carlos Condit was seconds away from winning. And I was impressed with George's recovery and that he didn't fall apart like he did when Matt Serra hit him. But George is vulnerable. And if he remains champion for the next several years, I think it's because the quality of the competition's it's questionable.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, if you had the light heavyweights, if you had the competition that you have in the light heavyweight division, I don't think George is going to win 3 or 4 fights in a row. Nick Diaz has got issues, Nick Diaz destroyed an undersized BJ Penn, but aside from that, he's got issues. I like him, and I don't mean psychological issues. I just mean issues as far as being an elite level fighter.
Yeah.
Carlos Condit, great fighter, tough guy. But, these are guys, that it doesn't necessarily take a George St. Pierre to win all 5 rounds from Nick Diaz. Like I said, Ben Henderson, I think, was way more impressive in how he handled Nate Diaz.
I agree. I mean, you haven't said anything that should make sense to most people out there. It just...
Well, a lot of people are still, he's got... I don't know. It's tough for fans to open their eyes sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm being told, if I didn't like this fight, if I don't appreciate George St. Pierre, it's because I don't know what I'm watching. I'm watching a guy trying to win a fight on points, and that's not, you just want to see guys go out there and brawl like UFC 1. No, that's not it.
I want to see technique,
and
I want to see...
That's not what Carlos Condit and Johnny Hendricks did.
Yeah.
And that's not what tore down the house. No, I want to see a guy that's trying to end the fight, though. I want to see you go out there and try to finish the fight. That's the objective. Yes, you can win on points, but if that's what you're trying to do, it's not something that I enjoy.
Yeah, and
I didn't enjoy that fight, George St. Pierre against. I only enjoyed it when Nick prevented George from
taking him down,
taking the fight to the ground, and doing nothing.
And there definitely was something that happened in that 3rd round. If you look at the and again, full disclosure, I work for Fight Metric, so I am going to use the numbers that they came up with, but only as a talking point, not to prove that somebody should have won a round or anything like that, because numbers don't show, the intensity of a fight or the subtle nuances. It's just hardcore numbers. But if you look at George St. Pierre's takedowns, round 1 he had 3 of 3. Round 2 he only went for 1, and then round 3 he was 2 of 5. Round 4 2 of 5, and round 5 1 of 2. Which is very unusual for us to see.
7 takedowns stuffed. I mean, this is a guy who had an unstoppable takedown.
Yeah, not so much, right?
Not so much, but yet they have there's always excuses that come out after it, So now he's hurt and he had the flu. But we'll see. We'll see what happens next time.
Yeah. So next time, let's talk about next time real quick. We have Johnny Hendricks, who cemented his place as the #1 contender with his win over Carlos Condit. No matter how you feel about it, he won. And so he's getting the shot. Johnny Hendricks definitely has power. I mean, dude has some serious power. I was impressed that Carlos Condit was able to take those hits and keep going. So hats off to Carlos Condit for having the head of cement. And Johnny Hendricks, but Johnny Hendricks lacks technique. He was just bull rushing Carlos Condit, and winging that. I don't know if it's his left or his right or whatever it is. He was just winging it, and that works against somebody like Carlos Condit. But how is he going to fare against George St. Pierre? That no matter how much we may think that George St. Pierre may have lost a step, he's still more sophisticated in the stand-up game than Johnny Hendricks. And having said that, I don't think George St. Pierre's stand-up, his boxing is that great. I think he has a few combinations that he works very, very well. And
let's say this though: Nick Diaz, who's supposed to have great stand-up, was losing the stand-up game to George.
He was losing the stand-up game to George, except in that 3rd round.
I have to give him credit that I wouldn't have given him previously, except for the last minute in the 3rd. when Nick started lighting him up a little bit.
Nick lit him up in that third round, and George St. Pierre didn't know what to do.
I
He just stood there and took it.
I
What was
agree.
that? What
He
was
had,
that?
looked like he had the deer in the headlights look for a second.
Didn't he? Deer
Yeah.
in
Oh yeah.
headlights
I
look.
got super excited because I thought the tide was turning. But give George some credit though. Like he held it together. He held it together when Carlos kicked him in the head. He held it together when Nick in the last minute of the third started kind of
Unloading
really.
on him. I mean, did he really handle it, or did the time just run out? Because, like you
Yeah,
said,
maybe
he
the
had a
time ran
deer.
out in the third.
And maybe it's a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B. It really sounds
The
like
only
we are
time of the
just
fight when I jumped to my feet.
trashing
Yeah,
GSP
Nick. Yeah.
a little bit. I am a
Oh,
little bit.
I
I'll
got
admit
to.
to it.
I was very excited, but it shows the vulnerability there. But you know what? Nick's got skills in the stand-up that Johnny Hendricks doesn't have. Johnny Hendricks has the power that Nick doesn't have. So
Yeah,
Johnny, what he needs to do is connect early and knock out George. And it's possible, but not probable. And if this thing goes a few rounds,
it's
Johnny
all.
slows
Yeah,
down.
it's all
So
George St. Pierre
yeah,
at that
Johnny
point.
slows down. Nick doesn't slow down. Nick has technique. Johnny Hendricks has too many holes. He's capable of winning, but if he wins, it's because he's got that power, and I don't want to call it a lucky shot because he's always practicing for it. But probably like 8 out of 10 times, George is going to beat him.
Agreed. Agreed. All right, so let's move on from 158. Let's talk about some of these other topics that I, of course, forgot we were going to talk about for reasons we have already discussed on the show. Um, so we kind of already touched on the Ultimate Fighter, but I wanted to talk to you about the interaction between John Jones and Chael Sonnen. First off, coming into this season, I was not excited about John Jones and Chael Sonnen. I have not been a fan of the show for a very long time. I think the fighters on this season are fairly decent, at least entertaining, much more so than the last couple of seasons where I don't know if last season only had one finish the entire season. I don't know. I didn't watch it, but that's what rumor has it. Um, and I don't know. I just didn't know if it was just going to be Chael Sonnen being this was it kayfabe? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, kayfabe when
Yeah.
you don't when you pretend that you have a feud going. It's a wrestling term.
Yes, yes, and that I think that term fits Chael Sonnen to a T. Most of the
He's
time,
always kayfabing until this fucking series.
and I love it. I got to tell you this. I love it. You know why? Chael Sonnen is a smart son of a bitch. Let me tell you why. Because that's what we expected him to do. We expected that the entire season. And there was the question of how old will that get during this season of The Ultimate Fighter? Chael Sonnen making up bullshit and hyperbole on top of hyperbole. And he's been one of the best coaches on The Ultimate Fighter. Whether his guys win or lose, he is an amazing coach.
Agreed, but you think this is going to benefit the pay-per-view buys? I don't. I'm going to suggest it won't, and I think maybe it would get old for certain fans, but the Rampage Rashad stuff didn't get old.
I mean, it got old for me, but
but then they did crazy numbers on pay-per-view especially for a fight without a championship on the line. Like I think this is going to hurt the pay-per-view buys. I understand like hardcore fans looking at it and viewing Chael in a different light, but I don't understand the tack that he's taken here. I don't think it helps the pay-per-view. I don't think it helps their fight. I don't think it makes people want to see them fight. I'm thinking maybe maybe he's thinking if he's respectful, John Jones will not give him as bad a beating. I'm not even kidding. Like all of a sudden, Chael Sonnen's become respectful.
It's only on the show that he's respectful. I mean, did you hear about the poem that he recited on UFC Tonight? That was amazing. That's what we expect to see from him. He's still delivering those bits and pieces that people want to see, but I really think the kayfabe would have gotten old on The Ultimate Fighter, and I think Chael Sonnen has managed to get a lot more respect from his peers. I think he's gotten a lot of respect from fans who thought he was just a joke with a loud mouth. I like him. Like, I genuinely like him. I would want him to be my life coach. If Chael Sonnen is looking for somebody to coach in life, I'm available. Hit me up. Erica at FightFansRadio.com. Let me know, Chael, because I'm ready for it, man.
Wow.
I think he's amazing.
Wow.
I really like him.
He'll coach you right into real estate fraud.
I'm saying, but he's got money, right? David, you'll help me. You'll help me with those charges, won't you, David?
Yeah.
I know it's not your.
You know, he ratted. That's how he got out of
I'm saying,
it.
the term rat does nothing to me. Whatever. You can call me whatever you want. All right, let's move on from the Ultimate Fighter. This is kind of a hot subject right now. Fallon Fox. It's been picked up by CNN. I think was it CNN that picked it up, and yesterday on Untethered, Derek Suboticki mentioned that CNN, where they wrote Thai plum, they put it as TIE plum, which I think is cute. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. You're so cute, CNN. I don't know what to say about that. You can't even get
It's
mad
not as
about
bad
it.
as when they got the Supreme Court healthcare opinion wrong. I don't know if you remember that. That's smart.
CNN, second to Fox News. So Fallon Fox, if you haven't heard about her, I will refer to Fallon Fox as a her. That's what she wants to be referred to as, and
I think that's completely fair.
that's what you should refer to her as. And I'm a little pissy with Joe Rogan and his rant about her. You're a dude without a dick. Just shut the fuck up, Joe Rogan. I swear, get on my goddamn nerves. I do not know why people love him so much. The more he talks, the more I question our society as a whole, and their obsession with people like Joe Rogan. Having said that, Fallon Fox is a woman who used to be a man, and she is fighting women in MMA. What athletic commission is letting that happen? Who knows? But David, what do you think? Do you think Fallon Fox should be allowed to fight other women?
I think I mentioned to you, I haven't really done enough research here to take a definitive position, but transgender athletes are allowed in the Olympics, correct?
Yes.
As women.
But if a transgendered woman wanted to box in the Olympics,
they wouldn't let her?
Do you think they'd let her? I mean, the difference is between, at least one of the bigger differences, at least in my opinion, is that the fact that these are combat. This is a combat sport. She's laying hands.
It depends on whether she still has advantages hormonally that men would have. If doctors can assure that she biologically is the same as a female and doesn't have residual testosterone, it's going to give her an advantage over other women, I think she should certainly be allowed to fight. Maybe we could just compromise and have her fight Cyborg. How's that sound?
I think that sounds fucking
compromise
fantastic. But so the testosterone is one point of it, but what about just basic physical structure? I mean, there's nothing you can do about bone density or anything like that. I mean, there's no medicine that's going to, I mean, you can't change her
what are doctors
body.
saying?
Like, I mean,
what are the physicians
there was an
saying?
article on Bloody Elbow where they interviewed a doctor about this, and I think she pretty much had the same thing to say is that, hormonally she might be different, but physically she still has some of the attributes of a man that will never go away. You just can't get rid of them. And if I am misquoting, well, fine, but whatever. But if that is the case, which it seems to be, then is that enough to make a difference whether she should fight women or not? And you brought up a good point with Cyborg. I mean, Cyborg is essentially a dude with a vag.
And who knows what kind of badge she has at this point.
It's true.
There are changes to that from steroid use.
Snap your dick off.
The clitoris grows. Irreversibly, I'm not kidding. No, like it can end up looking like a penis. I am not joking.
I mean, if she decides to go lesbian, she will be flooded with women.
Side effects for men are mostly temporary and reversible. For women, that's why. And plus, you have the issues of like it then becomes a man fighting a woman in the case of Cyborg.
Yeah.
Which all her fights are absolutely questionable.
So, I
I don't know. I would defer to experts if there's still structural advantages through bone density, where even if you both weigh 135 pounds, where Fallon's still going to have advantages, then maybe it's unfair.
well, let me ask you this. Let's say an expert says, um, it's the okay. She'll, she's the equivalent to a woman in strength at this point due to hormones and all this other crap. Uh, do you think that it is responsible for her and her manager to inform her opponents that of her past? Um, and do you think athletic commissions should be informed of this?
Uh, well, I think the commissions would have to be informed of it so they can make sure that she is
Taking her
taking
meds.
hormones, right? Yeah. I mean, you would almost have to. As far as her opponents, on a going forward basis, obviously they're all going to know.
Right.
Whether I think she's 2-0 right now, whether her first two opponents knew, I guess they did not.
I think they have a combined record of 0-5, so it wasn't like she was knocking out, you know, Ronda Rousey. She
Um,
was knocking out bums. So
you know, I feel like I feel like they should know, and they should have the option not to sign a fight with her if they don't want to.
right.
You know,
Does that make them a dick though? Like,
I don't know if it does. It's a real tough issue.
yeah, I
You know,
agree.
I have no problem referring to her as a woman, but we're talking about a fight, and she was born a man.
She was indeed.
You know, I don't know if it makes them dicks for not wanting to fight her. I think some have already. I think Misha Tate already said she wouldn't want to fight her, and I don't. It's a tough one. It really is a tough one.
Yeah, this is one of the tougher issues that's come out in MMA
It's
lately.
easy to just be politically correct and say, hey, they're assholes. But I try to put myself in their shoes. If I were a woman, I don't know if I'd want to fight her.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Even as a woman, if I was fighting MMA, I'm trying to put myself in their place. Would I want to know about my opponent? And
I
I don't
think you
know.
definitely would want to know.
I think I would want to, or is it one of those things where I don't want to know? Like, don't tell me. Ignorance is bliss
And
until
then
I
you
get
get
knocked.
then you get your ass kicked.
Yes, and then I get knocked the fuck out. You better
And
damn
you
well
get beat up.
tell me. I don't know. I don't
You
know.
know afterwards.
Yeah. All right. We got to move on
I,
from this
I,
because we
I
get.
don't know. It's such a tough issue, and if there could be assurances all around that she's completely equivalent to other women,
Then go for it.
then go for it. But I don't know if you can really make that those assurances.
No, I don't think that. I don't think you could either. Um, and I feel for Fallon. Such a strange name
Yeah,
to
me
choose for
too.
yourself.
Me too. It's tough. I
It's
mean,
like a porn
just in
name.
society in general, being transgender, people we're referring to her as Shiva. Like, a lot of people really really rude about it. They'll
It.
call her they'll call her it.
Uh,
It.
So, just a real quick aside story. I went to DC to get my taxes done a few weeks ago, and where I get my taxes done, it's not a bad part of town per se. It's on the up and coming list. It's H Street Northeast. I'm sure you know, David. Like the H Street Northeast is
I
kind
have
of
no idea.
now. Okay,
I geographically I know nothing. I have a GPS that can get me where I need to go, and
fair enough. Well, H Street in Northeast in DC is used to be a really really bad neighborhood. Now it's only like partially
that's a
bad.
gentrifying.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's getting there. But um, I
That
was
sucks.
smoking a cigarette outside of the office, waiting for my mother to get her
What
taxes
kind of
done.
cigarette?
A regular
Why
cigarette.
would you do that? Why would you smoke tobacco?
Well, my
I'm
mother was
really
with me,
disappointed.
and I didn't want her smoking up all my shit, so I just smoke regular cigarette. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think my mom. I don't think she would. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. I would love to be able to smoke with my mom. But anyway, so I'm standing there, and there is a sign on the bus stop across the street, or a sign or an advertisement, I should say. It's a giant advertisement, and it's from a distance, it just looks like a hot woman. And then we read the words, and it says that I am transgendered. Uh, I would, treat me like a woman, as as you would any other woman. And I thought it was a very interesting little campaign to be advertised, especially in that part of the city, which makes sense to advertise in that part of the city. Those kinds of that kind of message, and I thought that was just very, very interesting, and I was happy to see it. It's a good thing to have. She did look hot. I ain't gonna lie. Made me a little confused for a second. All right, so real quick, let's talk about the announcement Dana White made at UFC 158, right in between the FX and the live pay-per-view. Dana White came on with Joe Rogan and announced that the next coaches for the Ultimate Fighter will be Ronda Rousey and whoever is the winner of Kat Zingano and Miesha Tate. And it will be 135-pound men and women living in the same house. What are your thoughts on that, David? Because
I think
Joe Rogan's face.
Rogan's face is great. I think it's awesome though. I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic. It should assure ratings. They probably would have difficulty finding 16 women to fill the house. 16, women ready to fight. And I love the idea of the women being coaches. I'm looking forward to this season, upcoming season.
I am looking forward to it in the sense that
I like the drama though too. That's the whole thing. I know a lot of fans don't, but I do like the inside the house drama, and there should be a good amount of that. I don't mind that.
I just don't want it to turn into like The Bachelor, where people are
Hopefully
fucking
it
the
will.
whole time. No, come on. I mean, that's great for TV ratings, but is that worth in trade for whatever damage that does to the legitimacy of the sport? This is a real sport.
Come on. The whole sport was built after they did the whole thing with Chris Lieben and Josh Koscheck in the first season of Ultimate Fighter.
I hate it when you have a point, David. You know that, right? I really do. And I can't punch any holes in it, but that is one thing that my first reaction was, I really don't want to see dudes fucking chicks on the Ultimate Fighter. And hopefully that they put in place something that says, no fraternizing like that. And, on one hand, I wish that, and then the other hand, I feel guilty because there's an assumption on my part that they're not professional enough and they're not adult enough to know that that's probably not a good idea.
Of course they're not. Come on.
I was trying to give them some credit.
Come on, what are you talking about? They put alcohol in they load the house with alcohol.
But I think that at least this season, that there have been no real drunken tirades from anybody. Everyone's been on their best behavior. They've been acting like professional athletes. I've really enjoyed this season, but you have a point that, the drama in the house is what the reality TV fans are looking for. And if what the UFC is really gunning for is just ratings for the show and not necessarily...
Well, it's probably FX, Yeah. It's not just UFC.
And they are owned by Fox, who
it's
likes trash.
Fox and FX want the ratings. UFC wants the pay-per-view buys. They also want Fox to be happy.
And what do you think of the on-screen? Can you really take Ronda Rousey for 8 weeks?
I don't know if I don't know.
10 weeks, whatever it is. I think it's 10 weeks.
8 minutes is a lot.
So. It is. It really is. I saw her on Jim Rome's new show on Showtime, and I don't know. I don't have anything against Ronda Rousey. She's actually been a guest on this show before, way before she was where she is now. But she's
too cool now.
She's too cool for school, for sure.
She's too cool to come on the FanAddicts radio now. Yeah, okay. What about before you were famous, Rhonda?
I know.
Who was there for you then?
Who was there for you then?
Where was the first program you accused Cyborg of using steroids on, huh? That was with us.
Yeah. And she also announced her title fight with Misha Tate on the show with us.
That's right.
Yeah, so I'm a little hurt. I'm hurt to the quick. I really am. Just, it's all right. I just cry myself to sleep every
It's
night thinking
okay.
about it.
We don't we don't want to have her on again.
We've
We
had
would
it.
never if she wanted to come on.
So I think it'll be an interesting season. Everybody, including the UFC, fingers crossed, Misha Tate wins. I think she will. Who the hell is
I,
Kat Zagano anyway?
no. But apparently, like the likely outcome is Misha's going to lose. That's what they're saying.
Really? What are the
Yeah,
what is the
yeah.
betting
I don't
odds?
know about this other woman, but that's the word that I'm hearing. It's that
Let
this
me see.
other
Betting
one.
odds. Misha. God damn, her name is so weird. Misha Tate. Kat. Whatever her name is. Kat Zagano. Okay. FightBetNetwork.com. They sound legitimate, right? Right? We're going with them.
Maybe.
BetBookie911.com. I mean, we really don't have a whole lot of choice where we get the betting
Yeah,
odds
just
from.
check one of them.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Fight Bet Network. Apparently, Fight Network was taken, and this is
And the odds, because more people might know Misha, the odds might not reflect the likely outcome.
no odds available. Oh, suck a bag of dicks. Come on, betting odds. Oh, that's Misha Tate versus Ronda Rousey. I can't find where are these betting odds? Judging from the betting odds, Misha. Okay, here we go. MiddleEasy.com posted a story about it as it loads. Come on, people. Um, I'm surprised to hear that. I really am, to be honest with you. I just assumed that.
Yeah, no,
I made the assumption. That's what what they say what happens when you assume.
I think they want Misha to win, but what I'm hearing is that it's likely that Zingano is going to win because Misha has the built-in storyline with Rousey.
Yes, and I think that makes it all the more intriguing. Bet bookie, come on, bet bookie. I couldn't get on Middle Easy. Hey, Middle Easy, how about you do something about your servers? Cause not great. I can't find any betting odds. If anybody's got betting odds, Misha Tate, Kat Zingano, or am I saying it wrong? No, Zingano. Yeah,
Zingano.
Zingano. What is she?
Zingano.
I saw a picture of her. Dude, chick has got guns though.
That's what I heard.
God damn. So it's a little past sexy. Like it's just enough for you to be like, it's a little bit too much to be really turning me on. But this is really pissing me off. Why can't I find?
Zingano is undefeated. I mean, I don't know the quality of competition.
Well, so is Fallon Fox. So we need to get her in there. I can't find I'm having problems with Middle Easy. Motherfuckers. Okay, well, I can at least look up Kat Zagano's record, right? Zingano. What is that? Is that Italian? What is that?
Sounds Italian, but I
It
don't know.
sounds Italian, but that could be us being slightly racist. Zingano, BJJ, and Black House. Black House is her MMA team. Ooh.
Italian, she's for real.
She is undefeated. She beat Karina Taylor by armbar, Angela Samaro, Anaconda choke, Barb Honchak. My mother's name is Barbara, and she hates being called Barb. So I have this thing against people whose name are Barbara, and they call themselves Barb. Barb Honchak. She beat her by decision. Ivana Coleman, TKO. Karina Dam, TKO. KO Hashi, KO Slam. How often do you see a KO Slam in women's MMA? She got a rear naked choke at Invicta, and I'm a little worried for Misha Tate. To be honest with you, if this
Telling
woman,
you.
I mean,
Telling you.
it looks like she's got both submission and good stand-up skills. At least, um, judging on how her fights end on her record. How old is this broad? Yeah, I called her a broad. Don't tell her, please. I've seen her muscles. She's 30, which is it's not super young to be in MMA right now, and to have only 7 professional fights up underneath your belt. But she's got a good team. It looks like Black House is a great team to have. Um, I don't know, man. So, do you think that's going to affect ratings in the end for the Ultimate
We'll
Fighter?
see. We'll see what kind of dynamic they have. Ronda Rousey is a pretty big star right now, so I think people will tune in at first just to see what's going on.
And Ronda Rousey is going to take this to the nth degree. If we know anything about Ronda Rousey, we know that she's going to take it to the nth degree. She's going to be super competitive on the show, probably a little bitchy, and not to kind of demean her or anything like that. But that's, she knows that's going to get people to watch the show. People want to see stuff like that. They want to see the drama, and they want to see her be kind of catty and. I don't. If it's Misha Tate that wins, I expect absolutely no respect between the two of them. If Kat is the one that wins, I expect Ronda to probably not be quite as hardcore about it. I don't know how much interaction she's had with Kat, but I do love the fact that her name is Kat. I don't know. It should be an interesting season. Okay, we're a few minutes away from having to end this show. Last thing on the list, Mark Ratner.
Yay, Mark Ratner.
Mark Ratner
Yay.
is now
Hey, hang on.
asking the commission, as David takes a ceremonial puff. He is asking the athletic commission to change how they view marijuana or how they treat fighters who test positive for marijuana.
Yeah.
It happens a lot. The latest one be Alex Caceres. He tested positive for marijuana metabolites or whatever, and
some boxer, I actually forget who it is right now. But
yeah,
just got fined $900,000.
I did.
May have been Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Might have been, but it's so absurd.
It really is. Even Dana White said that. Not that he has any control over the athletic commission, but he said, in his own words, he said that that he thinks it's not a performance enhancing drug. If anything, it's the opposite. Even though
but even if it is, it's not the type of performance enhancement that you have so many supplements in let's say a GNC that enhance performance. When they're talking about performance enhancement, they're talking about steroids and human growth hormone. Yeah, like what about antidepressants? That might help you focus and can also enhance your performance. Or caffeine. There's so many things that can enhance a performance.
there have been studies done
with silly to ban marijuana because it's a performance enhancer. That's not why it's banned. It's banned because it's an illegal drug.
Yes.
That's the only reason it's banned. And the legality is changing. It's already legal in 2 states, medicinal probably in half the nation, and it's going to be legal throughout the country before long because Washington and Colorado opened the doors. There's no turning back now. So eventually the commissions are going to they will change. And I'm glad Mark Ratner said something. That's terrific because maybe they'll. I don't know if they're going to change before. I think the commissions generally follow the Olympics code, and the Olympics still test for marijuana. But yeah, at some point within the next 10 years or so, they're going to have to treat it like alcohol. You don't see them. You don't see them, banning or suspending people for drinking.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. It's good news. It seems like it's good to have somebody like Mark Ratner, kind of
someone with credibility.
Somebody with credibility voicing what everybody's thinking. It is illegal right now, but it probably won't be for long. And to classify it as a
illegal federally, legal in 2 states, recreationally.
Yeah,
in 2 states. And legal medicinally in at least half the states, maybe more like 30. It's definitely a gray area. We had these discussions when Justin Coey was on, and he was Reefer Madness guy.
And
If
then
he's listening, he can call in and then
I think you
correct me
brought
if
up
I'm wrong.
a good point about antidepressants as well. And I think it's important to kind of differentiate between, they kind of just lump all drugs into this performance enhancing category. When, if somebody needs to be on antidepressants, dude, let the dude be on his antidepressants, whether he's getting ready for a fight or not. Um, I don't know what kind of benefits any antidepressants can give you. Um, I don't know if
They can allow you not to be depressed.
Oh my God, who would want a fighter who? That's an
I mean, that's what
unfair
they're talking about
advantage.
with
Yeah.
marijuana, though. They're talking about how it helps you focus. And antidepressants can also help you focus. I mean, we could talk about so many things enhancing performance. Food enhances performance,
And
and supplements enhance performance.
eh,
Yeah. So
supplements, yes,
it's
I agree.
what are you aiming at when you say we want to ban performance enhancing drugs? I mean, it's silly to when I started hearing them talk about, well, marijuana is performance enhancing. I can understand why you would think it is, and some people think it is because of what it does to your mind. But that's not the type of performance enhancement that the commissions are looking to enforce against. At least I don't think it should be. You're talking about steroids that you don't want people to be forced into using because everyone's using. But marijuana is more like an antidepressant.
Yeah.
Will allow you to focus. And yeah, it might enhance performance for certain individuals and others it might not. But that certainly shouldn't be the type of performance enhancing drug that they're regulating against. I mean, to me, it's absurd, even
And
if you think it is performance enhancing.
I think it's also interesting that they talk about marijuana like it's gives you the kind of boost that would that'll help you win a fight. It would help you train, obviously, but it's not gonna help you win a fight. And two, caffeine has been proven to give you more energy and be more performance enhancing
Yeah, of
than
course.
marijuana. So are they going to start banning fighters from drinking coffee? Like,
Well, the only difference is that caffeine is completely legal right now. That is really the only difference.
caffeine is still a drug, though. Am I right?
Absolutely 100%. But the only reason that it's not being regulated by the commissions is because of its legal status. So that brings us to marijuana's legal status, which is changing, absolutely changing. Not going to change back. The tide has turned. You have Republicans that are recognizing that it's a good issue, a winning issue for them,
Right.
for
Yeah.
states' rights. And yeah, 2 states, they're going to experiment. Other states are going to see that they're taxing marijuana, they're bringing in revenue, and what's going to happen is that other states are going to legalize it, and then eventually, federally, it's going to have to change.
Yeah.
I think this is all going to happen like very quickly too.
I
Not a
agree.
year, not at 2 years, but like within 10 years.
I think there's a lot of things changing right now, kind of rapidly. And
Yeah, yeah. How about that Republican who was against gay marriage, who all of a sudden found out he had a son that's gay, and now he's. It's amazing how they have to have someone that's a member of their family or something
yes,
before they
before
can
they.
empathize. I mean, it's really extraordinary. It's like
Wow,
they
I
have
didn't realize how much of a bigot
inability
I
to
was being
empathize with
until.
unless they're in that situation.
Yeah.
Unfucking believable, right? Like, well, okay, well, now my son is gay. I guess we should allow him to marry. And you're like, what is wrong with you? Like, can't you step into someone else's shoes
No, a lot of
without it
people.
being
Obviously, a lot of
thrust in your
people can't.
face?
Yeah. Fuck it in its face. All right.
Fuck it in its face. Fuck this Republican senator in his face.
In his face.
In his face.
We are terrible. All right, let's go ahead and close up the show. It was good to be back, David. Oh,
It was fun.
it's a lot of fun.
Hopefully, we'll do another show.
Yes, within 2013. Yeah. I'm free next week if you are, my friend. So
next week sounds good.
Yeah, let's make it happen. So want to thank everybody who listened to the show. Of course,
Did anyone even listen? Did they even know we're coming back?
Hopefully you come back. We did say "fuck it in its face" quite a bit. I hope you come back and listen to us. We will be available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, all over the interwebs, like David said.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Twitter. We're on Facebook, FightFans Radio, and FanAddicts MMA. Feel free to email us, info@fightfansradio.com, if you have any suggestions, comments, you want to curse us out. I don't give a damn. Whatever. But we will be back. And, dude, seriously, really good. Really, really good chatting with you again.
I agree.
All right, man. So we're closing up shop here. We will see everybody hopefully next week. You will, if you like us on Facebook, you will know for sure. So until then, have a good one, everybody.